Hey everyone, Wiggles here. In this video, I'm going to go over the Woosa class in Black Desert. Ultimately, I'm making this video to see if you want to main the Woosa class in this game. Let's get right into it. The Woosa class uses a swallowtail fan as their main weapon, and a dew staff as their secondary weapon. In her awakening, she uses the Megu's main weapon, which is the Soul Tome. And her homeland is in the Land of the Morning Light, which is inspired by Korean folklore. Woosa is also the younger sister and the twin to the Megu class. Both these classes are similar in how they use magic at a mid-range, but the Megu focuses on deception and cunning, while the Woosa focuses her efforts with elegance and purity. As for skills, the Woosa's passive meditation gives her HP and AP. Peace of Mind gives Woosa another 300 stamina. Also, Woosa has a cool passive where you can get rid of heat stroke or burn effects on you or your allies when you're hit by a ranged skill. That's through Mystery of Mysteries. That's a very underused and cool passive. But Succession Woosa also gets Prime Tranquil Mind. This gives the Succession Woosa another 5 DP and 150 more HP recovery. And also Succession gets this cool passive called Prime Quiet Waters. This lets 3 of her skills, Prime Thunderstroke, Prime Cloud Carve, and Cloudflower, to summon a storm cloud that lingers for another 15 seconds. This essentially deals more damage and will send an additional lightning bolt if the Woosa gets hit with a debuff. As for active skills, the Succession Woosa gets Prime Butterfly Dream. This is a really great 30-second buff. This gives her 25 AP, 20 DP, 30% critical hit rate, 100 MP every 4 seconds, and 1000 HP recovery. Awakening has a similar buff called Lunar Serenade. This buff doesn't give MP recovery and drops the HP recovery to 500, but this increases her critical hit rate from 30% all the way to 50%. So the Awakening Woosa can hit really hard when the buff is up. One thing that's often overlooked is the fact that Woosa actually gets a block. This block is great, it gives you 4 guard, and it recovers your MP every time you block. But more than anything, if you like the Woosa, you'll love the Butterfly Step. Butterfly Step just lets you get from one place to another really quick. It has many different use cases, and you have super armor during the skill, and you turn invincible when the character disappears. One skill that's really great that's worth noting is Blood Sorry Flower. This is only for the Awakening Woosa, but this gives her extra HP recovery and more MP recovery for 30 seconds. But the better version of the skill is definitely in the skill enhancements. The last skill here, for level 58, you can get something called Spring Blossom, and this gives you even more HP recovery for 40 seconds, and you get super armor during the skill. But I absolutely love all this HP recovery on this class. Definitely makes you feel way more tankier than I ever thought, and having these skills is really helpful for sustaining yourself in fights. Before I move on to the skill enhancements, one thing I should mention is that the Woosa does have PvE iframes. So these are skills that give you a 1-second invincibility, and this would just be the classic skills like Evasion and Yang Ban Step. But yeah, always keep these skills in mind when you're versing a difficult mob because they can really help you out. So for the first skill enhancement, level 56, the choice really comes down to preference of what kind of content you're doing. Because this swirl skill is really fast and a long range CC with a 4 guard, and it has a movement speed debuff, which makes it really useful for PvP. And Kaleidoscope Flower is more of a filler skill that you can use while waiting for your other skills to come off cooldown. It has many hits and decent damage for PvE, as well as super armor. Right now I'm leveling my Woosa, so I'm keeping it on Kaleidoscope Flower, because the damage is actually pretty good. So for level 57, you have Cloud Burst or Ink Stroke, and Ink Stroke is typically the preferred choice here. It's unprotected, but it's quick to cast and has a ranged knockdown CC. This skill is really useful for pulling packs in PvE, and it combos really nicely with some of her other skills. In comparison, Cloudburst has a stiff CC and 4 guard. Lastly, my favorite skill enhancement, you can either choose Spring Blossom or Reinvigorate. Reinvigorate is a quick heal, it's really good. It recovers 60% of your HP. However, Reinvigorate drains your MP, which can leave you pretty vulnerable. Spring Blossom does take a little bit longer to cast, but it's definitely a way safer option because of the super armor, and it adds a large amount of passive HP regen, and it also combos really nicely with Succession Woosa's HP regen passives. So yeah, this definitely does come down to if you want an instant cast heal or if you want something like Spring Blossom. My preferred choice by far is definitely Spring Blossom. Succession Woosa gets a really great counter mechanic through a skill called Prime Rain's Thirst. It's exclusive to Succession Woosa, allowing her to absorb damage using the Rain's Thirst skill and then reflect it. This skill can be used with S and Q to gain damage reduction for 4 seconds, and during that time, the Woosa stands still in super armor and will absorb any damage dealt to her. The absorbed damage is stored for 15 seconds, and the next skill to hit an enemy target will reflect her damage taken as extra damage to the enemy. The extra damage is also true damage, meaning it will bypass the enemy's damage reduction and evasion. It also doesn't matter what AP you are, the extra damage is only calculated by the damage taken. Since the extra damage is true damage, it's also unaffected by protective area skills, and it will deal the full amount. The extra damage is not split between multiple targets. The amount of extra damage is determined by the HP lost by the Woosa during that 4 seconds of Rain Thirst, so it can be a tricky balance between soaking enough damage and not dying. However, if you cancel Range Thirst early using your iframes, which is shift and sideways, if you're getting low in HP, you'll still have the absorbed damage. You can use her E-buff skill, the Prime Butterfly Dream, or the Lunar Serenade, to even further increase your max HP, which will increase the amount of potential damage that you can take, and also reflect and deal back to the enemies. Although it's important to note, all absorbed damage will be lost if you're hit by a CC effect. Succession Woosa is definitely not to be taken lightly. The Storm Cloud mechanic, mixed with the HP recovery, and the counter mechanic definitely make this class really strong, and a force to be reckoned with no matter what class you are. So in her awakening, the Woosa takes control of the power of the Netherworld through the Soul Tome, allowing the Woosa to conjure flowers of death and inflict explosive damage. Her skills look insanely cool in Awakening. I thought Succession's big storm clouds looked cool, but the way that the Awakening Woosa's attacks look is unmatched. Simply holding right mouse button and watching Soul Cleanse go off is mesmerizing, let alone when you start face rolling all her skills. There's pretty much exploding flowers and water everywhere. It's pretty beautiful. Both Succession and Awakening have a ton of opportunity to use long casting skills while keeping their forward guard or their super armor. Skills like Moonlit Blast and Life Flare can be used as a way to not become crowd controlled, still while dishing out a ton of damage. Also, it's really cool how the Awakening Woosa can place traps down. Those flowers explode, dealing a ton of damage to their enemies. And the best part, she can put down multiple at a time. Both Succession and Awakening Woosas have very powerful skills that unfortunately take some time to cast. Learning how to outmaneuver your foes, or getting the right types of buffs for things like super armor on your character is essential for making your time really easy while grinding or fighting other players in PvP. It's great though, because the Woosa actually has a lot of different options for things like super armor and forward guard, which makes just your time casting all these spells just that much easier. But yeah, grinding definitely feels way easier when you have the skill Spring Blossom. You never really have to worry about your HP. But yeah, if you are leveling the Woosa class, I highly would recommend getting mana on hit. I have it on this skill right here, this big Water Storm skill. It gives me a ton of mana back, so I pretty much never have to worry about it. It's definitely way more of a leveling thing, but if you find yourself needing mana often, I highly would suggest getting that skill add-on. I have it for about like 3 skills actually, so I just never have to worry. But yeah, the Spring Blossom HP recovery is really strong. I love never having to worry about HP. And then just being able to do massive skills like this. As much as I love using this Rainstorm spell and some of the other spells in Succession form, I do really like the Awakening side of the Woosa just because it does feel like there's a bit more variety in what you can use. That being said, Succession definitely hits harder and it's way easier to pull higher numbers in Succession. But if you do enjoy the Awakening, by all means play the Awakening because it definitely does good numbers too. So in PvE, the Woosa is definitely very good compared to all the other classes. The Woosa is definitely up there in some of the best classes in this game for PvE, due to her massive AoE skills and her multiple different protected skills. Mixed with her high damage, makes her one of the best classes for PvE. Woosa is actually a class that made me love grinding again. Grinding on the Woosa, especially in Succession form, is really fun to just dash around with Butterfly Step, get the mobs that you want, and then pop your big AoEs. And these AoEs do a ton of damage too. But yeah, it's so fun to dash around as her while having a good amount of big spells on a low cooldown that can destroy pretty much every enemy that you see. In PvP, the Woosa can actually hold her ground quite well, thanks to her different skills with super armor and forward guard. I remember when the Woosa first came out, she wasn't really good at PvP at all, but now with some of the recent buffs, she stands fairly well compared to all the other classes. And the Woosa is actually a great 1vxer. She's able to give herself HP recovery, she has many protected skills, and her skills are large enough to damage every every enemy around her. I've seen countless videos of one Woosa taking on multiple enemies and coming out on top. But out of any PvP scenario, the Woosa definitely excels in mass PvP due to those protected skills with a very large AoE, and she can easily dash between team members while dealing devastating damage. It's almost like she's made for mass PvP. And when we're looking at the arena Solare, Woosa actually stands very well. Simply looking at the top 10, there are many Woosas really high up in score, with the class average of the top 10 being way higher than most other classes. This is a great class for teamed PvP, but it is really important to note that every Woosa in this list is a succession Woosa. If you're having a tough time choosing between the Awakening or the Succession Woosa, I'd say just try both and see what you like more. It really won't take long to see if the Awakening is made for you or if you really want to go the Succession route, because both these specs in this class are pretty similar, but they're also quite different. I've heard many times that Succession Woosa is way easier to pull really good numbers with, but she's still great no matter what spec you choose. And personally, I really like the Awakening Woosa because it feels like there's way more variety in the big skills that you can use. And the visuals in the Awakening kit are really fun to watch as they go off. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy these storms, but it's just the Awakening looks really cool with the flowers and all the water everywhere. But yeah, the Woosa, you can't go wrong. All of her skills look amazing. So ultimately, the Woosa class in Black Desert is a unique mage type class and is worth picking up as your main in Black Desert. They're an underrated powerhouse that can overwhelm any enemy that they come across. The class at its core is very strong, and the recent installments of buffs on this class definitely make it way more viable for the years to come. If you're on the fence about this, definitely just give it a shot and see what you think. But thanks for watching this video, everyone. If you found this video helpful, please give this video a like so it can be shown to more people like yourself. Also, please subscribe to my channel for more Black Desert videos like this. I'm going to be doing class reviews on every class, so stay tuned for more videos coming out soon, and also check out my previous class review videos. Have a great day, everyone. Cheers.